Next week. Vegas? Yeah. Okay. Who's the team? John Jones. Okay. You fight John Jones.
A lot of people were surprised when they found out that you've been signing your name as Champ 2011. How did that come about?
I believe in the law of attraction, and I believe that that you can speak things into existence. And I believe that when you know where you're going and you know what you want, the universe has a way of stepping aside for you. And me signing my signature with Champion 2011 on it, it can't hurt me. It can't hurt me. It could only help me to believe it even more. So yeah, I mean, it works for me.
You've been saying something that I find to be very interesting, that the butterflies in your stomach are in formation.
Right.
I've never heard that before. I think it makes a lot of sense. What do you mean by that? Elaborate.
What I mean by it? Okay, so butterflies in formation. Basically, it means when you have butterflies and you're feeling anxious and you have anxiety or nervous, that's when you're most powerful, I believe. And either you can... you're most powerful. So a lot of people, instead of homing this power and using it, they allow it to just consume them. There's another quote that says, a big challenge or big pressure is like a fire. It's like a raging fire. Either you can allow this fire to consume you and just take you over completely, or you can gain control of this fire and harness it, and you blow it right at your opponent like Dragon Ball Z style. All right, so that's what I'm trying to do. I try to get my emotions under control and use this adrenaline to my advantage.
I believe that I'm going to stuff his takedowns. And if he does take me down, I believe that I'll be amazing on my back. Just got to think for the best and, train for the worst.
What do you think the sport's going to be, when UFC 200 rolls around? And where do you think you're going to be 9 years from now, 10 years from now?
I'm hoping to be a champion.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to be a champion. I'm believing that I'll be a champion. I would love to grab the belt, hang on to it, and be the next GSP or be the next Silva, and keep the fans excited. The UFC is growing, and it's just a tremendous thing to be a part of. It's changed my life, and I embrace what it is.
Jones to the body, and it is all over. John Jones is the youngest champion in UFC history.
Big into visualization.
When did you used to meditate?
Right around 2010, 2011, I went through this huge spiritual thing where I became obsessed with the power of the mind, and I got into it deep, like really deep, just meditation, visualization, and just realizing how powerful our minds actually are, like how we really do paint our world with our thoughts and our level of self-belief. And so right around 2010, so I took myself from being very average-minded to actually believing that I was the shit, and believing that I could be the shit and that I could be the GOAT and be the greatest and never lose. I took myself to a different place mentally, and a lot of it came from mental practice and meditation and visualization and just seeking knowledge from people who are strong believers, guys like Les Brown and Tony Robbins and guys like that. I just became really obsessed with just learning about the power of the mind. So I used to meditate. Now I just I have a lot of things that stuck with me, a lot of ways of believing that stuck with me, that just subconsciously I know who I am, what I'm capable of, and how I believe, and how powerful my mind actually is.
I wear this tattoo on my chest, Philippians 4:13, that I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. And I genuinely believe that I can do anything. And I'm not surprised that I'm still here. And I believe that I could possibly be here a decade from now.
Wow, you still wanna, in your mind, you don't have an end point.
Nah, there'll be an end point. There will be an end point, but I believe I'll go out on top, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a goal? Like GSP?
Yeah, I've already won, Ariel.
Right.
At this level, I could retire today, and I've already won.
What do you mean by won?
I've won, man. I'm getting my life together. My kids love me. My old lady loves me. I'm surrounded by people who love me, friends and family. I've already had a successful career, and and I just say here today victorious.
It's amazing for a guy who I believe was a janitor, right? And you got into this because you needed to get some money for diapers, right?
Yeah, I was applying I was a bouncer actually, making $50 a night, and I was applying to be a janitor because I would have benefits.
Wow.
And right when I was waiting to get the call back, someone wrote me on Twitter, a guy named Gary, a kid that I never met, and he said, hey, my cousin owns an MMA gym in Cortland, New York, which is about 45 minutes away. Didn't have a car, and I was driving my fiance's car to commute over to these practices. I got that phone call on a Saturday night, and I was heading to my first practice that next Monday. The kid changed my life forever. He just planted a seed in my MySpace and changed my life forever.
Why'd he reach out to you? Just like that?
God's grace, man.
Wow. You were not training at all?
Not training at all.
About to have a baby, right?
About to have a baby, applying to be a janitor. And
janitor for what building? Do you remember?
I think it was like Lockheed Martin.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this guy writes to you and says...
I had a picture on my MySpace, and I had been weightlifting a little bit, and I had a hat on backwards, and I had some UFC gloves on, and I was posing, you know, being a poser,
yeah,
right? Yeah. And it something in them said, let me see if John would be interested. And I took the idea and I ran with it, and that's how God works sometimes.
Wow, and how old were you?
I was about 19.
Wow.
Yeah, man. It was crazy, man. It was like one of the best years of my life, man, because I went from a very average thinking person, like just an average 19-year-old, to getting I don't like reading, so I literally got on all these TED Talks and on YouTube, and I just started YouTubing videos about self-belief and what does it mean to be confident, and what does it mean to be a winner? How do you become a winner? And I would watch hours and hours of Tony Robbins and Les Brown and TED Talks, and I taught myself how to believe in myself and how to think that I was greater than just this kid that was a dropout who, never really had great grades, never really was the starter, never was the captain of a team. I was just always kind of this average person, and overnight I taught myself that I could be great and change myself forever. I'm forever grateful. I'm never going back.
Wow. Did you have low self-confidence?
I didn't have low self-confidence, no. But I needed to have extraordinary confidence to do what I was getting ready to be doing.
Would that kid have believed that all this would have happened?
I don't think he knew that he was changing my life by giving me an idea.
Yeah. It took a couple of years for you to believe it as well, probably too.
Yeah, I think when I fought Stephen Bonner is when I really dug into the power of the mind and how important it is to look at yourself in a high regard and to believe that first you can. And that's when I started to fly.
So with Rampage Jackson, I kept having these nightmares that I would get knocked out. And no matter how the fight played out, I would always get knocked out. And it was always within the first 30 seconds of the fight. So, one scenario I'd run out, he'd run at me, swing a huge overhand right. The other, he would throw a right uppercut. And then another dream, it was a left hook. And I couldn't avoid this inevitable knockout that I was going to experience in the first round. And, I'm a big fan of sports psychology, so I call those red zone thoughts, and I actually learned that from Rashad Evans. When you have a negative thought, immediately cancel it with a positive thought. Instead of thinking of somebody beating your ass, think of yourself exhausted, you're winning, fight's almost over. Sure. Just think something positive. And I just couldn't avoid these images and actual nightmares of Rampage Jackson knocking me out. So on fight night, I felt like I was going to get knocked out, and I felt like this was coming for me. I felt like energetically, like I was getting these signals from a higher power that John, this is going to happen to you tonight. And I couldn't avoid it. So I just had this super deep prayer where I got down on my knees and I touched my body from my head to my toe for the first time. And I prayed this prayer asking God to just give me these supernatural reaction abilities, speed, flexibility, awareness. And as I was praying this prayer and touching myself and rubbing myself and
meaning every ounce of this, thinking my life is on the line, I noticed, looking at myself, that I was covered in feathers. I was covered in white feathers.
Like a hallucination?
It wasn't a hallucination, man. It was
Real as fuck to you.
It was very real to me. It was very real to me. I could see myself covered in, like, there was like small feathers in between my fingers, and I was covered in feathers, and they came up like to my neck, and my face was still like normal, not in feathers, but my hands and feet were covered. And I felt like I was like this fighting thing that wasn't earthly, almost. And I like felt this surge of energy, power, flexibility, mental acuity and awareness and sharpness that I had never experienced before. And I like jumped off my knees and like landed on both feet immediately, and I was just like, woo, woo! And I was just, Wendy's like, my coach was looking at me like they could feel like, okay, he is pumped up. And Coach Winkle John's like, let's hit. And immediately I kicked the pad, and it was like, boom. And it was like, whoa. And like my kicks were lightning fast, and I didn't need to stretch anymore. I didn't need to warm up my lungs anymore. My kicks were going up high. I was jumping higher. I was kicking faster and higher. It was an unbelievable experience, and I actually was able to hang on to this feeling and this illusion of myself being in this alter ego all the way through the cage, all the way through my walk to the cage. And I felt like in that Rampage Jackson fight, I walked into that fight as this Featherman for the first time, and my idea to crawl towards him was the only thing that hadn't happened in all my nightmares, right? Because in every fight I started on my feet. So something just said, get on your knees and crawl up to him. And then automatically the dream voids itself of him knocking you out immediately, right? So I did that, and I got to kind of, I don't know, fight in an alter ego kind of state, and it was super powerful. Now to this day, I say that same kind of prayer over myself, and I believe that I transform into something.
I love that.
You get to this belief place that you are more than human at the moment, and then you believe that things, as far as just on every realm, are not designed to go against you at this moment. This is
cool.
You're actually living in your actual purpose at this moment. This was exactly what you're designed and born to be doing. This is your mark, and at this moment, I'm being used by my higher power to like
Fuck shit up.
pretty much.
Yeah, dude.
Pretty
That's
much.
a beautiful story, dude.
Pretty much.